They want to knock down buildings and build new buildings with little, tiny, small windows.
Last night was the final debate between Joe Biden and Donald Trump, and I'm going to break it down. Now, at the end of this video, I will get to some polling, and we will look at who potentially won this debate. But there's a lot to get to here. I don't want to waste too much time. Let me start with the first clip. This is on COVID-19.
He says that we're learning to live with it. People are learning to die with it. You folks home will have an empty chair at the kitchen table this morning. That man or wife going to bed tonight and reaching over to try to touch their, out of habit, where their wife or husband was, is gone. Learning to live with it. Come on. We're dying with it because he has never said, he said it's dangerous. When's the last time? Is it really dangerous still? Are we dangerous? You tell the people it's dangerous now? What should they do about the danger? And you say, I take no responsibility.
Let me talk about your two.
Excuse me, I take full responsibility. It's not my fault that he came here. It's China's fault.
All right. We're already having fun. I take full responsibility. It's not my fault that it came here. It's China's fault. This man will never take responsibility for anything, even in a sentence where he claims to take responsibility. Just totally incredible. Now, I do want to get to, there's this idea that Trump keeps pushing out that, we were going to lose millions of people and now we're losing 200,000. What's the big deal? I've shown the graph a million times. I'll get to the graph in a second, comparing the U.S. to other countries. But before I even get there, every single country had these projections about, at the very beginning of COVID-19, I'm in Canada, there was a projection that up to 70% of Canadians would get the virus. Let me show you that headline. This is back in March. Between 30 and 70% of Canadians could become infected with the coronavirus. This is back in March. We're nowhere near this. So right now, the number here, total cases, about 209,000 total cases in Canada. This amounts to about 0.6% of Canadians that have had the virus. Let's take a look at what the estimates were in the U.S. Fauci, again, back in March here, estimates that 100,000 to 200,000 Americans could die from the coronavirus. This is during those massive projections. 20 or 30%, 70% of Canadians can get it. Other countries had those projections as well. The U.S. projection, 200,000 could die. What's the number right now? 221. It's over the number. So you have to understand the unique disaster that Donald Trump is when it comes to COVID-19. This is something that I don't think even Joe Biden did a good enough job during this debate pushing. The idea that Trump is a unique failure here because of how the U.S. compares to other countries. This graph, daily new confirmed COVID-19 cases per million people. This is per capita, of course. Look, this is the U.S. They never really got away from the first wave. They're still in the first wave. It went to a second wave and to a third wave now. You look at other countries like Germany, most countries now are experiencing a second wave, but look how the numbers came down. Look how the numbers came down. Look how the numbers are going down. Now, Mexico actually has a really weird curve here. It's like, I guess they're just ending the first wave. But like, numbers here nowhere near the U.S. Japan, of course, these are countries that took masks seriously. Everybody in Japan wearing a mask. Look what happened. Also not mentioned during this debate that, I don't know why Biden doesn't mention this enough. Donald Trump stopped a plan to send 5 masks to every household. The USPS had that plan ready. They were going to send that out. In fact, I didn't prep this. I should have prepped this because it's one of those points that I always bring up. But Trump, doing it right now, doing it live. Trump ended sending masks, USPS. Let me show you. Here you go. White House abandoned plan to send 650 million face masks across the U.S. in April. So this isn't just Trump incompetence. This is a direct action that led to more people getting the virus and more people dying. I don't know why aren't there 1,000 ads about this? Trump stopped this from happening. It was going to happen. They stopped it. Let me get to the next clip now.
President Trump, this week you called Dr. Anthony Fauci, the nation's best-known infectious disease expert, quote, a disaster. You described him and other medical experts as, quote, idiots. If you're not listening to them, who are you listening to as you fight this?
I'm listening to all of them, including Anthony. I get along very well with Anthony. But he did say, don't wear masks. He did say, as you know, this is not going to be a problem. I think he's a Democrat, but that's okay. He said, this is not going to be a problem. We are not going to have a problem at all. When Joe says that, I said, Anthony Fauci said, and others, and many others, and I'm not knocking him a lot. Nobody knew. Look, nobody knew what this thing was. Nobody knew where it was coming from, what it was. We've learned a lot. But Anthony said, don't wear masks. Now he wants to wear masks. Anthony also said, if you look back, exact words, here's his exact words. This is no problem. This is going to go away soon.
All right. More lies there, as usual. The whole mask thing. Back at the beginning of the pandemic, the only real masks that were available to the public on a mass scale were medical masks, N95 masks. Cloth masks weren't really a thing yet. So healthcare professionals wanted to ensure that other healthcare professionals that were dealing with patients had the inventory of N95 masks, which was the reason to downplay the use of masks. That was before cloth masks were widely spread. And as I discussed earlier, they had a plan to send cloth masks around, which they should have done. But this is what Fauci actually said. He told the Washington Post at the beginning of COVID-19 pandemic, masks were not recommended for the general public as authorities were trying to prevent a mask shortage for health workers and the extent of asymptomatic spread was unknown. So if you can go back to the beginning of March, look up YouTube videos. Just February, March. Look up making a mask at home. There were many videos of people showing you how to make your own homemade cloth mask because that's what was recommended. People have some kind of protection. Yet here Trump pretends, no, we couldn't do anything. And this was the perfect time for Biden to drop this, that Trump stopped masks from being sent out, and he didn't. But again, this is why I cover this stuff, so people understand what Trump actually did. And also, another correction here on what Trump said. Daniel Dale here saying Fauci did not say the virus would go away soon. Fauci did say, for example, in February that people could keep going about their lives, but he always cautioned that conditions could change quickly and the virus was a threat. Trump has invented quotes from Fauci for months. Exactly. This is the context here is everything. This is back when barely anybody in the country had the virus. So obviously, yeah, at that point, well, you know, we're watching the virus, going to see what happens, but right now people can go about their lives. And then things changed. Let me go to the next clip.
In the meantime, we found out in the New York Times the other day that, in fact, his folks went to Wall Street and said this is a really dangerous thing. And a memo out of that meeting, not from his administration, but from some of the brokers, said sell short because we got to get moving. It's a dangerous problem.
Well, this is
I'm going to give you 30 seconds to respond, and then we're going to move on.
The Wall Street one, I don't know. Somebody went to Wall Street. You're the one that takes all the money from Wall Street. I don't take it. You have raised a lot of money, tremendous amounts of money. And every time you raise money, deals are made, Joe. I could raise so much more money. As president and as somebody that knows most of those people, I could call the heads of Wall Street, the heads of every company in America. I would blow away every record, but I don't want to do that because it puts me in a bad position. And then you bring up Wall Street. You shouldn't be bringing up Wall Street because you're the one that takes the money from Wall Street, not me.
This attack is so ridiculous. Donald Trump has members of Wall Street in his cabinet. In his cabinet. Steve Mnuchin, since the beginning, has been there. His Treasury Secretary. This was another opportunity. This is why I thought at the end of the debate that Biden didn't do all that well. As we're going to see from polling, I was wrong. But there were so many missed opportunities like this. Now, the average person at home doesn't know that. So I can see why the average person didn't think that Biden did poorly. Because they didn't realize there were so many opportunities for Biden to nail Trump when he didn't. This is a Trump quote. I just don't want a poor person. Trump explains why he added billionaire Wall Street executives to his cabinet. This is as he was running as a populist. Chicago Tribune here. Populist Trump fills cabinet with billionaires and Wall Street tycoons. This was an obvious attack line that Biden should have used. He didn't, but regardless, here, these are the facts. The idea that Joe Biden is with Wall Street and Trump isn't, completely nuts. Let me go to the next clip now.
This is a president. I have released all of my tax returns, 22 years. Go look at them. 22 years of my tax return. You have not released a single solitary year of your tax return. What are you hiding? Why are you unwilling? The foreign countries are paying you a lot. Russia's paying you a lot. China's paying you a lot. And your hotels and all your businesses all around the country, all around the world. And China's building a new road to a new a golf course you have overseas. So what's going on here? Why don't release your tax return or stop talking about corruption?
President Trump, your response.
First of all, I called my accountants under audit. I'm going to release them as soon as we can. I want to do it, and it'll show how successful, how great this company is. But much more importantly than that, people were saying $750. I asked them a week ago, I said, what did I pay? They said, sir, you prepaid tens of millions of dollars. I prepaid my tax. Tens over the last number of years. Tens of millions of dollars I prepaid. I get treated very badly by the IRS, very unfairly.
All right, I showed this for comedy purposes. Trump, I prepaid. I prepaid my tax, and then literally, like moments later, I get treated very badly by the IRS. Why would you prepay them if you think you get treated very badly? Why wouldn't you not release your tax returns? Why don't you have any actual proof, any evidence of this money that you've paid? Anybody that believes this man is a complete sucker. You're a sucker if you believe anything this guy is saying. It is the amount of lying. He has no proof of any of this. There are actually other people have his tax returns. They have the proof. He has not paid anything. He paid $750. The last time he actually paid any money, $750. Unbelievable. Unbelievable what he gets away with. How many years now has he said, oh, I'm going to release them. I'm under audit. There's nothing saying you can't release them while you're under audit. But he's not releasing them because it makes him look bad. Obviously, anybody that thinks otherwise, you are a sucker. Let me get to the next clip here.
What I would like to do is a much better health care, much better, will always protect people with pre-existing. So I'd like to terminate Obamacare, come up with a brand new, beautiful health care.
He's already cost the American people, because of his terrible handling of the COVID virus and the economic spillover, 10 million people have lost their private insurance. And he wants to take away 22 million more people who have it under Obamacare, and over 110 million people with pre-existing conditions. And all the people from COVID are going to have pre-existing conditions. What are they going to do?
President Trump,
Excuse me, he was
your
there
response.
for 47 years. He didn't do it. He was now there as vice president for 8 years, and it's not like it was 25 years ago. It was 3 3/4. It was just a little while ago, right? Less than 4 years ago.
Trump has no health care plan. This idea that you can attack Biden for not doing anything, that might work if you're on the left. When you are Donald Trump, when you are the president, when you had the ability to pass health care, you claimed you had a plan back in 2015 that would cover everybody. He didn't do anything on health care. You can't attack Joe Biden for not doing anything when you didn't do anything and you were the president. The amount of lies, truly unbelievable. And I mean, it's unfortunate that Biden doesn't back Medicare for all. COVID-19 has shown you that you cannot have healthcare tied to your employer, that a private insurance system is absurd. When you have millions and millions and millions losing their healthcare because they lost their job. Other countries don't have this. In Canada, if you lose your job, you still have the exact same healthcare you always had because it is not tied to your employer. It is a single payer system. Everybody pays into it. The wealthiest people, your politicians, your Congress people, all in the same healthcare plan as you are. That is a Medicare for all system. That's what you could have. A public option is better than what Trump has, but it's not Medicare for all. And we are going to continue, by the way, fighting. If Biden wins, hopefully, on the left, we will continue pulling Joe Biden and the administration to a position that is better on healthcare with people like AOC, Bernie Sanders, Jamal Bowman, Cory Bush, and others in Congress. We have to work both with inside the walls of Washington and outside with public pressure to be able to push Joe Biden on healthcare. But compared to Trump, night and day. Let me get to the next clip.
This is the guy that the actuary at Medicare said, if in fact, at Social Security, if in fact he continues to withhold his plan to withhold the tax on Social Security will be bankrupt by 2023 with no way to make up for it. This is the guy who's tried to cut Medicare. So the idea that Donald Trump is lecturing me on Social Security and Medicare? Come on.
He tried to get rid of, he tried to hurt Social Security years ago. Years ago. Go back and look at the records. He tried to hurt Social Security years ago.
Again, this is an attack on Biden that works if you're doing it from the left. If you are Donald Trump, who has tried to cut it this year, you cannot attack Joe Biden for trying to cut it 30 years ago. Are you insane? Here's a quote from Vox. President Donald Trump posted a tweet on Saturday vowing, this is back in February, vowing, quote, "We will not be touching your Social Security and Medicare in fiscal 2021 budget." One day later, the Wall Street Journal published a report indicating that Trump is doing exactly that with his budget proposal. A little more detail here. The Journal's report, which came a day ahead of the administration officially releasing its budget on Monday, indicates that Trump's $4.8 trillion budget includes, quote, steep reductions in social safety net programs, including cuts to Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. He tried to cut it this year, and he's trying to attack Joe Biden for cutting it back in the mid-90s. All right. Let's go to the next clip.
Let me ask Vice President Biden a question. You are the leader of the Democratic Party. Why have you not pushed the Democrats to get a deal for the American people?
Well, I have, and they have pushed it. Look, they passed this act all the way back in the beginning of the summer. This is like it's not new. It's been out there. This HEROES Act has been sitting there. And look at what's happening. When I was in charge of the Recovery Act with $800 billion, I was able to get $145 billion to local communities that have to balance their budgets and states that have to balance their budgets, so they didn't have to fire firefighters, teachers, first responders, law enforcement officers, so they could keep their cities and counties running. He will not support that. They have not done a thing for them. And Mitch McConnell said, let them go bankrupt. Let them go bankrupt. Come on. What's the matter with these guys?
The bill that was passed in the House was a bailout of badly run, high crime, Democrat, all run by Democrats, cities and states.
I don't see red states and blue states. What I see is American, United States. And folks, every single state out there finds themselves in trouble. They're going to start laying off, whether they're red or blue, cops, firefighters, first responders, because they have to balance their budget. And the founders were smart. They allowed the federal government to deficit spend to compensate for the United States of America.
So this is maybe one of Joe Biden's best moments in the debate, because he was specific. He was forceful. He pushed back on the moderator. The House passed a bill back in the summer. They passed it to help people. The Senate, the GOP Senate, has not even taken it up for a vote. The blame for the lack of help to people right now falls squarely on Mitch McConnell and Donald Trump. And Joe Biden did a good job there communicating that. And the idea that, again, Trump tries to, divide people up. Oh, the money was going to go to blue states. It was also going to go to red states. It was going to go to every state. It was going to help people, going to ensure that you can, continue to keep teachers and firefighters and whatnot on the payroll. So just, again, this is what we've known for years, that Republicans obstruct progress and Democrats are weak at trying to get that progress pushed through. But they're trying right now, and they've been stopped by the GOP. Two more clips. Next one is, for me, about the moderator.
We are talking a lot about struggling small businesses
Yes.
and business owners these days. Do you think this is the right time to ask them to raise the minimum wage? You, of course, support a $15 federal minimum wage.
I do, because I think one of the things we're going to have to do is we're going to have to bail them out, too. We should be bailing them out now, those small businesses.
If you watch my live coverage of the debate, I got really pissed off at that question. The framing of this question is so right-wing. It's a perfect representation of how the media looks at economic issues by and large, from the perspective of business owners. You have a an eviction crisis. 30 to 40 million people may be evicted in the US. 30 to 40 million. People were already living paycheck to paycheck. Now they also lost their health care. They have no money, lost their job. The idea that you frame a question about the minimum wage from the perspective of business owners, of capitalists, is completely nuts. Now, yes, are there some small businesses that would have trouble paying their employees properly? Sure. Then how about removing subsidies for fossil fuel companies and instead subsidizing small businesses? This is an idea that's been floating around for a while now. Help out the small businesses to actually pay their employees. Why are you subsidizing massive fossil fuel companies that destroy the environment and not helping out small companies to pay their employees? So ultimately, I mean, for me, this comes down to the framing of the question. If the media actually did what they were supposed to do, represent the best interests of the people at large, and look at these issues objectively, they would be able to see that people need help. There wasn't one question here about homelessness. How do you not discuss homelessness? How do you not discuss the immense poverty? But, you know, the moderator got a lot of praise from people, and she did, for the most part, Kristen Welker did fine. But framing like this, it isn't her fault. This is how all the media does it. But framing like this, just garbage. Last clip here, this on the environment.
You ready? We have done an incredible job environmentally. We have the cleanest air, the cleanest water, and the best carbon emission standards that we've seen in many, many years. When he says buildings, they want to take buildings down because they want to make bigger windows into smaller windows. As far as they're concerned, if you had no window, it would be a lovely thing. They want to knock down buildings and build new buildings with little, tiny, small windows.
Little, tiny, small windows. How many votes do you think are with Trump now? Oh, well, you know what? I was going to vote for Biden. But now that I hear about the little, tiny, small windows, Donald Trump it is. It's just totally nuts. Donald Trump. Under Donald Trump, the EPA has rolled back over 100 environmental protections. Over 100 environmental protections. And they're going to do even more. This recent story from September, Trump will roll back more environmental regulations if reelected, says his EPA chief. The EPA has been working in the interests of fossil fuel companies. They are supposed to be there to protect the average person with clean water, clean air. They're supposed to be there to ensure that people are safe. They've been rolling back those protections. Anyways, that's the debate. Obviously, there are parts that I missed because it was an hour and a half. But I don't think this really did all that much. But I will show you some polling right now. Who won tonight's debate? YouGov America, Biden up, plus 19, 54% to 35. CNN's poll, 53 to 39. And Data for Progress, 52 to 41 for Joe Biden. So I think it's pretty clear. Ultimately, though, how many undecideds were really left? I think most people at this point have made up their mind. Many have already voted. I don't think this debate really swayed things either way. But if it did, then it worked in Biden's favor. I think people are done. Many Trump voters, the ones that, have swung away from him now, have realized that the experiment didn't work. They thought, hey, we'll get a businessman in, even though he's gone bankrupt, 6 times and he's a horrible businessman. But we'll get a businessman in, maybe it'll be different. It can't get any worse, right? Can't get any worse. Yeah. Got much worse. Much worse. So they're done. Those voters have now gone back to Democrats, and many more that don't normally vote are going to come out because they are done with this chaos.